Welcome back, ladies and gents, once again to another exciting episode of HydraBadger TV, HoneyBadger TV, HydraBadger, whatever. They're the same person. This is the Zerg account for HoneyBadger, which is labeled HydraBadger. Spawning in the top left of Ohana, we have our red Zerg, which is HydraBadger, of course. Spawning in the bottom right, our blue Zerg, Tyke. HydraBadger saying, hoping not to get ZvZ during qualifying, but unfortunately that has happened. For those of you that don't know, HoneyBadger has publicly stated several times that ZvZ is by far their worst matchup. Looks like Hydra going to be going for fast gas here to get most likely a very quick Ling speed. At least I hope it's for quick Ling speed, otherwise there's no point in getting the gas before the pool, right? We do have our blue buddy here going up to, looks like 14, going for 14 pool versus a 10 pool. That should be pretty interesting. A little bit of a different dynamic between the two builds. Going for fast speedling push versus going for most likely what is going to be a more economic build here. Yeah, getting the gas and the spawning pool at about the same time. It is a 14 pool for our opponent here, Tyke. Getting that gas right up until 100 would be a good indication that we're going to see a metabolic boost coming out here very quickly. And that is going to indeed be the case, since those were pulled right away. Metabolic boost is inbound along with first 4 Lings. Or 6 Lings, sorry about that. And the second Overlord looks like it's going to be moving out to where you headed here, buddy. Looks like it's going to be heading towards the general location of this tower, which is a good place to have it just for an indication of a move out coming. The metabolic boost for our opponent here is about a good 40 seconds behind, so if any engagement happens, once Hydra's is finished, it's going to be severely in favor of HydraBadger, simply because of the fact that speedlings against non-speedlings is very bad for the other guy. Very bad. We do have a queen inbound for both people. Tyke's is a wee bit faster, which is another product of the 10 pool versus the 14 pool. And speed is going to be finishing up here very shortly. Another Overlord inbound along with more Lings. Where'd the other guys' Lings go? Did they? I believe they pulled back when the expansion went down. There is a... Oh, I see what the guy did. He put some of them on the tower and then brought the rest of them back home. Or did he bring him back home? Did he even make more Lings? I could have sworn he made more Lings. After losing that guy there, just went ahead and continuing to make Lings and pushing out here. Lings are so fast they're a little bit hard to keep up with, honestly. And this expansion is going to be 100% dead. There's literally nothing this guy can do about it, especially with the second set of Lings inbound, which they should be coming in here in the second half. Those Lings just pretty much disappeared. I mean, this right here was a mistake. I would have said target down the queen right away instead of going for the drones a little bit like they did. The next set of Lings dies rather quickly. Blocking with the drones there was kind of smart because it's protecting the spine a little bit. Unfortunately for them, the spine did go down anyway. And the second wave of Lings is already inbound. Inject should be happening. Excellent. Waiting for a couple more Lings before heading out, which is smart because when in doubt, build more speedlings. We now have 24 total heading out. Probably to kill this expansion, and unfortunately for them, that is not going to be anywhere near enough to deal with this. And on top of that, Tyke is only building drones, so this is going to be a very one-sided fiasco here, and I do believe that was a move command, and HydraBadger caught it on the mini-map, so these guys are going to fall. Well, some of them got away, How fortunate. And this guy's like, I got this, man, I got... Ah. He didn't have it. He didn't have it at all. And that spine was not cancelled. Those two were, though, so that's a little bit of save minerals. At this point, he's so far outnumbered that, I mean, he's putting 4 spines in his natural, but he's gonna be behind at this point. His base here isn't even fully saturated. He hasn't taken a second gas. Doesn't have a roach worn down, which would be one of the answers to the problem that he currently has. These spines are gonna help, but what are they gonna do in the long run but sit there and do nothing? Because if HydraBadger moves into this, they're gonna see these spines and pull out. There's not gonna be any doubt about that at all. You see that many spines, you just retreat right away and build up more units. You don't continue attacking, which is exactly what happens here. Pulls away from the spines, and it looks like it's going to be a full-on pullback. This guy incorrectly choosing to build more roaches or more lings and a second queen instead of producing more drones once again. Probably because he spied the lings that were still relatively close. Those lings moving back to the watchtower now. And here comes the expansion for HydraBadger, finally. After killing his expansion, should be ahead. Definitely ahead on workers. I mean, that's actually a bit oversaturated, but that's fine. Did get a macro hatch here, and they have these sitting here doing nothing. I'm wondering how long that lasts for at the moment. I do believe this queen actually does triple duty at one point, because you can see Hydra's not in a big hurry to get a second queen at all. And there go those drones, yeah. Send them out to do that job. That's good. We do have roaches inbound for Tyke. Whereas the roach one hasn't even gone down yet for HydraBadger, so there's going to be a window of opportunity here for him if he decides to move out. Oh, we're missing a minor skirmish. Didn't want to miss that. Let's back up just a little bit. Back up just a little bit so we can watch that, because that was actually kind of important. Just because of the way in which this conflict takes place is kind of... HydraBadger was actually moving back in here assumably to check for an expansion, and instead got all those lings and then got 2 roaches with minimal losses, really, because this was... I mean, at this point these lings are expendable, so getting anything with them is pretty important. Backing off once they saw the 4 roaches, which is smart, because that fight would not have gone well, I don't think. It might have been an even trade, but it would have ended up being bad, because then they wouldn't have this watchtower to see if something's coming at them. 5 roaches coming. And the roach one is down, but not finished yet for Hydra. 14 drones inbound, so that's kind of a difficulty. Populating the natural, looks like. Does retreat with the lings after losing a couple, obviously not paying attention at that particular moment. Gets the natural populated and then puts down some spines to defend against the roaches. I do believe that this is when it gets a bit scrappy. Roach one's done, instantly starts building roaches, which is brilliant, because if nothing else, these spines will delay them even if they don't finish. Got 8 roaches total. Pulls the drones. I don't know whether or not that was a good point. Probably should have focused more on cancelling these as they would damage, because that's 200 minerals, 300 minerals lost for free. Well, relatively for free, but these are taking damage from the drones, hilariously. The drones are doing pretty significant damage, actually. I do believe the drones got a couple kills there before dying themselves, and suddenly the roach count is heavily in favor of Hydra, and that's all she wrote on that engagement, as it's now 9 roaches to 0 in the base at the moment. And our opponent here is retaking the natural after losing all of those units. That's pretty ballsy. But fortunately for him, it does look like HydraBadger is going to be content to turtle up a little bit, get the natural repopulated, and move on from there. This queen, still only injecting the one hatchery. I do believe that changes here shortly to where it's injecting all three, which it actually would have been a better idea to get 3 queens, of course. But at this point, we're not really focusing on Ling production, so there's not really a point in even having a macro hatch, other than to flood units if needed for an attack coming or some such. Tyke does have a couple roaches here, but if you look at the roach count, I mean, it's literally 7 versus more than twice as much. So even if he did take an engagement here, it would not go well for him at all. We do have a spy going down for HydraBadger, so it does look like we're going to see some Mutalisk play. Well, Hydra, this queen is now doing the triple duty of injecting all 3 hatcheries, looks like. Drone's going to populate the minerals, because right now what we need is minerals, not gas. We do have quite a bit of gas building up for the muta production. Building more drones to further populate the natural and get that income up, which is what we need right now, because we need the minerals to be able to build the Mutalisks, because unfortunately they do cost 100 to 100. And that queen is just darn determined to get that overlord, and I do believe it is not going to get away because of that little bit of micro right there. And the overlord goes down. That does not supply block him, but it gets him pretty close to a supply cap at the moment, but he already has another overlord inbound, very smart. With the... is it going to be a triple inject or just double? Just double, looks like. Do have 8 Mutalisks inbound, and unfortunately for this guy, he has no Evo chamber and only 2 queens, so this is going to be catastrophic, to say the least. The roach count alone here is actually pretty impressive. Tyke does have quite a few roaches altogether. Okay, about equal actually. Let's see. Yeah, 1 more. That's not really that big of a deal at all. Not really a big deal at all. Natural is fully populated, well, almost fully populated on that there. Hydralisk then, because unfortunately for Hydra, the mutas here actually targeted overlords mistakenly on the way here, so they want a complete surprise. Evolution chamber going down, but at this point it's just way too late. Unfortunately, the mutas once again get hung up on overlords while trying to chase down the roaches. But it does end up working out kind of well, because it supply box Tyke for a little while there. And in the meantime, these roaches move up into Hydra's roaches, fortunately supported by a single spine crawler, which Tyke curiously targets down, and that actually allows Hydra to get a pretty significant roach count lead here. This is actually a pretty even trade so far, but the mutas showed up. Once the mutas showed up, it was pretty much over, and this is going to be a move out and squash most likely, because we've got a few Hydras inbound for Tyke, but not anywhere near enough to be able to deal with this. 5 more Mutalisks and 5 Roaches inbound for Hydra, which probably set up for defense just in case this push miraculously fails. The Hydras are here, but they are not going to be in position for when the attack begins. This is going to be it looks like. I mean, this guy just does not have enough units at all. How's that Zerg micro for you people? How's that Zerg micro? I thought it was pretty good myself. That's not bad at all. Targeting down the Evo chamber so that no anti-air spore colonies can go out even though the guy wasn't building any. And this is just, how many units is that? Oh, it's only 12. I thought it was more than that. and Tyke GG's and leaves the game, and that will be that for game number 4. That's 4-0 in qualifying, and this guy was actually gold, so HydraBadger was actually able to beat a gold Zerg in what HydraBadger has stated as being the worst matchup, which is Zerg versus Zerg. We're going to take a short break and then do game number 5 for you, which is another ZvZ, also on Ohana, strangely enough. And we will be back shortly with that. Thank you for tuning in. Please rate and subscribe and comment below on anything from the commentating here to gameplay suggestions. Remember that Hydra is only gold at this point. Did get gold placement. That's kind of a spoiler, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. Is only gold at this point, so any suggestions you might have to improve play, obviously, please leave the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys shortly.